Today in the crypto space, we see some green price action. Bitcoin right around 114,000. Ethereum right now is up approximately 4%, around $4,300, and the rest of the crypto space following Ethereum to the upside. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and more importantly, I want to continue focusing on the large caps, and of course, we're going to be talking about Avalanche. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 PM EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market, because we have been getting a bit of relief. And the relief, is just minute. It's not much. Obviously, it's a few percent, but it's not bad because we're seeing the market cap, retest or get back to that $4 trillion mark. It's a very psychological level. And of course, when we see a bit of trading volume, as we have, as you can see, look, increase in trading volume, it's a good sign that market participation is here and agrees on this pump. Now, it's not a major pump. I just want to be clear about that. Bitcoin hasn't received any of that love at the current moment. However, Ethereum is definitely getting it. As you can see, we're getting a 4% move here. Now, I know it's not a lot, and you can see that the downtrend is still consistent, right? We're still in a structure to the downside. However, is this the possibility where we continue seeing Ethereum outperform Bitcoin, and perhaps we start to see Ethereum pump once again? Now, we are seeing some of the altcoins react, and this is why I'm coming out today saying, look, things could change really quick here. And I've been saying very frequently, guys, if you're getting into shorts, make sure you wear those short shorts, right? You got to find the shortest shorts in your closet and make sure you got those on, because ultimately, we could come down, no doubt, but the recoveries are going to be a lot stronger and quicker, because again, if we're in an altcoin season, guys, that's usually what happens, right? So we got to keep it with that understanding. Now, if we look at BNB, beautiful. What else could we ask for BNB? Bottom of the range, nice bounce back to the top of the range. Structure has not been broken despite all the negativity throughout the market. BNB held its own. Now, if you look at the rest of the market, Ethereum has been on a retracement. Solana has been on a retracement. We have many others on a retracement. Even Cardano dipped. Today it's up 3.2%. Chainlink is again reaching at its previous highs. So it's up 9% today. This is what's important here, is that we have to understand that the gainers, the strength is coming out of Ethereum, and obviously all proxies, all projects that are tethered to Ethereum's narrative or Ethereum's wrath essentially is going to benefit, and Chainlink is one of them as the oracle, as the main oracle for Ethereum. And as you continue going down, you see a lot of downwards trending, but I'm looking at this small fractal right here on the lower time frames, because in the last hour or so we're getting some green. Is this the beginning of a potential scenario where we start to see a market shift? Guys, we've been pretty bearish for about a week now. So we got to understand, okay, maybe it's time to start entertaining the bullish thesis. As you guys know, about a week ago, I said, look, guys, it's a lot harder right now to get into a bearish stance. So it's the best way. It is the best opportunity now to start building our bearish thesis. All of a sudden, 2 days later, bang, 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 we started to get downwards pressure, and we were prepared. Now what I'm saying is, look, I'm not totally convinced that the negative pressure is done, but given the fact that we haven't really seen a proper altcoin response, meaning altcoin season response, this would be the perfect time to leave a lot of people behind. And of course, market makers love to, inflict that pain. And trust me, it's very, very painful to be left behind when you've been preparing and trying to accumulate and all of this. And all of a sudden, things start leaving the station and you weren't able to fill your bags. This is why it's so important, number one, that we focus on large caps, because just in case we do get a little bit more to the downside, guys, large caps are not going to hurt as much, which is important. But if we do start to get that rotation and we start to see more total market cap rise and Ethereum show strength, it is very possible that we start to see a continuation back up here. sooner than later. Okay, guys? So it's more important now to slowly shift into the possibility of a reversal very, very soon. And we're going to be using Bitcoin and Ethereum at the current moment. They are our leading indicators, of course. As you can see, the market in general is still on a downtrend, so I don't want to be front running any of this, right? However, the reactions that we're getting on lower time frames, as you can see, it does look interesting depending on the chart. OKB's on a tear again, guys. What could we say? Look at that, thing's flying. But ultimately, look at all these little fractals. You know, these little fractals are getting little bounces. You know, these little bounces equate to about 4%, which are not bad. And some, look at Algorand, that's pretty aggressive. That's 7% move to the upside. And again and again and again, and we have some good gainers. Of course, look at Bio, how it's been pumping and all of that. A lot of good sentiment still there. So this is why I'm not going to be overly bearish, and I'm not going to overstay my welcome, even on the short-term time frame thesis of a bearish one, a bearish thesis. We got to wear those short shorts, guys. Be ninjas, get in, get out, and you know, be happy with the shorts, but ultimately be quick to get back into your bullish mentality and start building that thesis to the upside. All right, guys, if I've offered any value here, please do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. Let's jump right into the Bitcoin chart. As per usual, guys, we're going to begin by looking at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a great leading indicator. So that's AVAX. We'll talk about AVAX in a second, because, you know, I want to be focusing on those large caps. But Bitcoin, at the end of the day, what is Bitcoin up to, and what kind of opportunity can Bitcoin give us in the next little while, guys? Ultimately, we broke down. And now, do we get a bounce? Are we ready to start reclaiming previous highs? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Like you guys, I'm very, very skeptical on what's happening here, to the point that I feel, to be honest, I feel a little bit of chart paralysis. I don't know about you guys, but I've been tracking these charts quite a bit, and I'm feeling a little bit like, okay, now what? You know, I'm losing my edge. I'm losing my edge because it's like Bitcoin is at an inflection. Ethereum's at almost all-time highs. I want to keep on DCAing on altcoins, but without Bitcoin and Ethereum showing me a clear direction, I feel like I'm, you know, over analyzing. And when you're over analyzing a chart, you start to really come up with a thesis that may not be there. You're just trying to fit the chart within what you want to happen. Obviously, I want this thing to pump. I want Bitcoin to do well. I want Ethereum to you know, attract its capital. Ethereum at the current moment is pumping. It's up approximately 6% for the day, carrying a lot of the altcoins with it. And at the end of the day, this is why I'm here today. It's because, look, we can't be overly bearish. And although I feel like we could come down to about 110,000, as soon as I see Ethereum respond, it starts to tell me, guys, this altcoin price action could definitely cause some pain. What I mean by that is it might leave us behind. So what I did today was a very interesting thing, okay? And some people might say, but Mike, why are you buying now? Well, it all depends on where I bought originally, or it all depends on what type of positions I got into the past, right? So, for example, Bio was one of my bigger plays in the last bit. I've done very, very well in the leverage positions, and I did take profit today. I took profit about a week ago, and I am in some good gains. But then, as soon as I took profit, I was in stables. No more exposure to the volatility. What does that mean? Is if Bio keeps on flying the way it is and the FOMO keeps on going, I'm going to miss out on the upside. So what could I do to my portfolio to keep myself exposed, but at the same time, you know, maybe I might take a hit, but at least I don't get liquidated. And that's the power of spot. You know, ultimately, I use leverage to fund my spot bags. So it doesn't matter really necessarily if you buy a little bit of a higher price. Because I know Bio's not at a great entry, but for a current buy. But because I bought so early and I was able to accumulate and use leverage to, you know, fuel my gains, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not here to nickel and dime. I'm here to build big positions on spot, and leverage is how I do it. Now, so I'm not really worried about that. But, however, guys, for other projects, and I'm scaling to others, I'm waiting for dips. But then again, what about if we get that, you know, a pump based on Ethereum? Ethereum, again, today is doing pretty good, showing us some green. Now, it's not even Bitcoin that's showing us the price action, because reality is we got a nice reaction here at the bottom of the range. This could eventually become an exit pump. This could end up being a dead cat bounce. This could be a confirmed lower high. We don't know. If we, you know, interact with this order block right here, with this volume right here, what happens? Who knows? We get back into the range. Maybe we back this in spring. We get back to the top of the range. Do we break out? Maybe not. Maybe we come back down. Maybe we do break out and continue. All good, right? We're not going to complain. We celebrate all the pumps. But ultimately, guys, the way things are positioned right now, if we break below this bottom, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good at all. Okay, because what's going to end up showing us is that Bitcoin is making a lower low. But at the moment, because Ethereum is showing strength, a lot of us are focusing on alts. So what do we do, guys? What we should be doing is just holding steady on the Bitcoin chart. What we should be doing is looking at Ethereum. And of course, tonight on the live stream, we'll talk about ETH. We'll talk about a lot of other projects. But I'm very reluctant at the current moment to get into fresh longs. But again, Ethereum is the indicator. It's the indicator of choice right now. And then if Bitcoin comes down for a lower low, guys, I'm telling you right now, not even ETH could hold up to the negativity and the fear that Bitcoin could bring to this market if it starts falling below critical levels, even coming down to about 100, 110 to down to 100, right into this order block right here. That would be a very, very emotional event. And no project, including Ethereum, can withstand that. Okay, so we just got to be very, very clear on what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin is giving altcoins an opportunity to flourish because it's still respecting its range. It did not make a lower low. All we really need now is a Bitcoin pump. Ethereum will take full advantage of that positivity, and then all of a sudden, guys, alts start running again and we miss out. This is the biggest issue. All right, guys, so let's move on. Let's see what's going on here with the AVAX, okay? Because I want to spend a little bit of time here with AVAX, because AVAX is one of those projects that have not left the station. It is still an opportunity. And why I say this is because you can see the market structure hasn't really changed. It is patiently building within the range. As you can see, nice, clearly defined range. I'm going to slowly start cleaning up this chart. This has become irrelevant, and borderline this as well. So what we'll do is get rid of some of the things that are not important, so we can keep this chart nice and clean. And as you can see, the structure is there, and this was my level, this is my area. The green arrow is usually where I define points of interest, and the point of interest, we have been toying with this point of interest for a good while. Let's measure the length. How long have we been here? It's a good indication of what sentiment is like. After 175 days, I can imagine that there's many people becoming super impatient on AVAX. And that's a good indication that either people that are got impatient have sold off, and they chase the next pump, which is fine. Let them do their thing. Maybe they'll come back. But ultimately, it also gives the opportunity for individuals that are long-term bullish and have a maximum conviction into the asset to accumulate patiently, right? Without worrying, without having any disturbance or expansion. Healthy range-bound price action offers peace of mind to accumulate, because that ultimately the bottom has been respected and the top has been respected. And if you're going to be trading it, and if you're going to be accumulating, you accumulate at the bottoms, you take profit on the tops, and it becomes easy, right? And when things get too easy, max pain scenarios start to boil over, right? Because that's when market makers know to inflict pain. The pain is right now is this. At the current moment, the pain is this. For those people taking profit right here, it could be very painful to see this price do one of these and then bang, totally break out and fly through this volume gap and attack the next order block or the next volume node. Okay, that's very painful. Why? Because people taking profit here are not going to have their exposure. Right? Now, if you're taking profit off of leverage because you went long right here and you took profit off of leverage and all you did was say, you know what, I don't want that type of risk in my life, that's totally fine. But what do you do with the gains? Do you keep them unstable? And that goes back to my bio example. Why would you keep them unstable? You made some great gains on leverage. Why keep them unstable? What about if this thing breaks out? At least remain exposed through spot. Because if it dips, not only are you not in a leverage position, because then the dip will be a lot less, but also, well, what about if it breaks out, guys? Look at this market structure, how it happened. It came down lower lows and lower highs. People were fearful. People probably exited right here. It came down, lots of fear. And guess what it did? It broke the previous high and expanded for the next higher high. Massive explosion, right? Now, what about if that happens here? Quick sweep, bang, straight up. What about if that happens, guys? How would you feel about that? And this is where we are right now. Like, I'm not trying to make you feel FOMO at the current moment. What I'm just trying to make you realize is that if this, like, again, I don't know, but if this is an altcoin season, guys, expect this type of price action. Quick recoveries, nice short dips, of course. If you're going to short, wear the shorts. But ultimately, recoveries are going to be strong, they're going to be quick, and they're going to start breaking structures. And if we break the previous highs right around $27 for AVAX, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to start to move aggressively. Because ultimately, it's been 175 days of sideways accumulation with not much buzz. And that's a perfect recipe for a massive move. And as you can see, let's just quickly look at, because I didn't even look at oscillators yet, guys. Momentum and trend oscillators are definitely part of my trading style. Let's get rid of this so we can see this a little bit clear. What happened here? Do you not see the confirmation with this bounce? It's a beautiful rounded bottom. Okay, you know I love those rounded bottoms. And then ultimately a nice consolidation within range, nice bottom. Let's see what happens on the next level. What do we do here? Do we get into some sort of symmetrical triangle, ascending triangle? Is it going to be a flag? Is it going to be a slight retracement? You know, a pennant of some sort? What is it going to be? Who cares? Ultimately, it's an exchange of hands. Let's see what kind of retracement this has been. Swing low, swing high, 0.5 Fibonacci. It did not invalidate the possibility of a beautiful cup and handle. You know, nice rounded bottom. If you break below the 0.5 fib and hold the daily candle and, you know, really structure out below the 0.5 fib, you invalidate cup and handle. Right now, cup and handle is still valid. It's still really nice. To be honest, even if we came down to the point control, it's still fine. But ultimately, what I like to see here is an exchange of hands right before we break out. And you got to admit, this is the level. If you look at the level of where I'm talking about, we got the volume. Let's just kind of tidy this up and make it a little bit more accurate. As you can see, we got tops, 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 tops. And then we also have the imbalance above to take full advantage, you know, of a potential breakout. Now, again, where do we buy? Do we look for discount zone below the 0.5 fib? Well, we kind of got that right at the 0.5 fib. That was the discount zone. That's where we could have bought the dip. Do we come down for another lower low? That's possible. A little bit of a retracement. Like I said, it might invalidate this concept of a cup and handle. Who cares? It's a nice retracement that eventually, you know, with a 3 wave to the downside, we might come down to the golden pocket. You slam some buy orders and move on and see what happens for the next impulsive move. Because ultimately what we want to do is break above 26 cents. We break above, we confirmed a higher high. Not only did we get a beautiful double bottom, but to kind of confirm a change of character, we begin by making at least a higher high or a higher low. We didn't make a higher low. Well, maybe, not really, but maybe a little bit. But we did get a double bottom. You know, some may argue that is also a change of character. Because if you consider the past, we've always made lower lows. Well, you know, I hate to break it to you guys, but, you know, this is not a lower low. This is a double bottom. Right? So it's a bit of a change of what happened, a change of the market structure character. It's a double bottom. Now we have a beautiful structure. As you can see, we can play this very easily. If you happen to buy down here, congrats, that's a great entry. If you're waiting for consolidation, I'll tell you this is your invalidation. This is a great place to invalidate yourself. If you can get your entry as close as possible to about $22, $21, it's still not a bad entry, okay, so that you can accumulate within this range. Just anticipate that you got to give yourself some wiggle room because we're not done this retracement and the consolidation is still being worked on, right? We can see candles being printed and it's possible that we come down for a lower low since this was a slightly lower high. You have to understand that retracements, even 3-wave structures, do sometimes have that bias to the downside before we actually break and we start hunting trendline liquidity to the upside, meaning this trend line that can be formed. Okay, so we're still here, and AVAX is giving us plenty of opportunity to accumulate before we actually get the expansion. The opportunity is here. Okay, so let me just quickly put this all back. I like this down here. I like it because it's much better. It's more accurate anyway. Let me clean this all up and then we'll take a look at oscillators because, you know, ultimately I'm a momentum trader, guys. I like to tag along where momentum's at. You know, it's not a very common strategy. It's not a very common trading style. Why? Because it takes a lot of patience, super amount of patience. And it requires, you know, lots of confidence, obviously, because you're building positions over time. And most of the times when you're building your positions are in the red. That's the reality. And then once momentum shifts, because you're trying to catch that bottom, you're trying to accumulate at a bottom range. But when the momentum does finally shift and you get follow through, payday. Guys, it's all about the payday. Okay, so let's take a look at oscillators here for a second. The concern for most of us, obviously here on the daily, is that we did get overbought. You know, we did go overbought. We did get a confirmed lower high. I can see that. And we're stuck in the chop zone. Momentum right now and trend oscillators looking pretty bad. I'll accept that. As you can see, let me just make that a little bit bigger. we're doing a full-on analysis here. As you can see, EMAs are facing down, red histogram bars. We're still in the bullish control zone. I don't like what's happening here with this lower expansion. Nice aggressive one in the past, but this is a lower one. Now, could it be a fake out? Could we just quickly open up like we've done in the past? All of this is possible, but right now, as we see it, the trend is your friend, and the sense is that we're in a downtrend, and we are seeing a loss of trend momentum. Okay, now as far as momentum goes in the strength of the volatility, we can also see that it is also being lost a little bit. There's a class A bearish divergence. Not really, guys. No, none. Because if you think about it, this got its follow through. This was a bit of the divergence. These two tops, okay, that was class C bearish divergence. Fine, it got its follow through already. Boom, right here. Now all of a sudden we're looking at this top and we're looking at this top. No, it's not a divergence. It's following along with the price action, right? It would have been divergent if we were making a higher high. It's not happening. If we were higher high in the price action, lower highs on the momentum. It's not the case. So what I could expect is a potential move where we do make a higher high on the price action and then potentially make a lower high, or maybe not. Maybe we get overbought again. Because that's what happens in altcoin season. Just imagine what happens in bear markets, how we stay oversold for a longer period of time. From here to here, we started coming down, coming down, coming down. Look at all of this, right? Now, when do we get the bullish response? When we stay up here for a little longer as well. Every little bullish response has been slow, this has been quick, and it has been just a little bit, and a little bit of a reaction. When do we get something like this, but for the bulls? Well, guess what, guys? We need to expand first. We need to break out of this range. We need to transition out of the bearish momentum, the bearish price action, bearish to bullish. And this is how you define a change of character. From bearish to bullish, we're changing the character of the market structure. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. So yes, in the short term, we could definitely get a dip. But as I've been saying, if Ethereum continues showing this strength, and as I'm speaking, Ethereum's still pumping, it's almost at 7% for the day. Guys, what could we expect? More upside potential in this market, leaving a lot of people behind. And unfortunately, for those individuals that are trying to time the absolute bottom, they will be left behind. And that's very, very painful. In fact, for me, that's more painful than holding red for a little while, because you know the market will recover eventually. But being left behind means that, guys, you're going to have to wait until next cycle. And the altcoin season has just begun. You have to decide whether it's time to take risk or not. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.